Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another installment of Jantmor Interviews. I'm your host, Josh, aka Jantmor, and today I'm interviewing the man who brought Darkseid himself, the audiobook legend, Ray Porter. There you
What's
are.
up? How are you?
Hi. Okay.
How's it going? Let me angle my camera down here. I don't have a cool hat.
It's,
They
it's
didn't tell me
fine.
there was hats, man.
No, it's fine. I mean, some people can't even rock hats, so I mean, hey,
No, I really can't rock a hat. I've tried. It hasn't gone well. So,
Before I get into the questions and say what I'm going to say, I would just like to say it's a huge honor and an absolute
oh,
privilege to be able to speak to you today. Like, I'm so humbled and just really excited to be doing this. So
well,
thank you so much for coming on. And I really do hope you enjoy your time here. So thank you.
much respect, man. Thank you very much. Very kind of you to say.
Some cool things I found out about you was that you played guitar growing up. What was that experience like?
Oh, I've been playing guitar forever. Like even back when I was in theater school, it was what kept me sane. And when I was working in the theater, I always had a guitar handy. I got a bunch of guitars here. You know, it's something to. I think it's really important if you do any kind of artistic endeavor to also have another creative endeavor that's not I don't know, monetized, that you're not like trying to make money on, that you're just creating, that you're just doing it. Do you know?
Yeah.
Being an actor is so much about like trying to strive to achieve, to get the job, to do all that stuff. It's nice to just have something to create, that's just you.
I completely agree with that. I think I was speaking to her name's Anjali Bihamani. She's done like Apex Legends, a ton of this stuff, and she was talking about how she loves piano, but that she doesn't think she'd ever like do it for the public. It's her own little thing because as an artist, it's important to have that thing that is just for you, just something for you to enjoy,
Yeah,
and not
yeah,
monetize it.
absolutely, absolutely. Also, I mean, being an actor is very interpretive. You're saying somebody else's words. You're giving life to somebody else's creation. So when you're composing music, that's you're creating something. That's why so many actors are also writers, for very much the same reason. So, yeah,
Makes complete
cool.
sense.
Yeah,
I think about it. Have something for you to lounge out about, write and stuff like that.
something that you do just for you. I think it's important no matter what you do for a living.
Absolutely.
So
It's important to have that small little piece of paradise for yourself.
exactly,
And
exactly,
from it all. So,
exactly.
but another cool thing I found out is also kind of funny is that you've been sent to the ER for sword injuries multiple times in your time in the theater. So,
Yeah. People don't ever think about this, but when you talk about like theater actors, um, nobody ever takes into account that if you've been doing theater, if you've been on the game for a while, you got scars. I have a load of really interesting scars that come from just doing plays. So yes, I've gotten sword injuries, I've gotten gunshot injuries, I've gotten
like, whoa, gunshots. Hold on.
I was in a play where there was gunfire and the prop malfunctioned and it shot me. So I had to go to the ER. I have a 22 gauge hole in my arm, from the, yeah. Oh yeah. Theater hurts, man. Theater hurts.
That is insane.
It's no joke.
Oh my gosh. What?
But it can happen. I mean, it can happen in anything. I was doing a Shakespeare play and was seated on the stage and had to jump up real quick and go hide. And I jumped up real quick and tore my meniscus in front of 1,200 people. And, being an actor and, the adrenaline and everything, you're like, fine, and I finished the play and then went to the ER. I don't recommend that. So yeah, doing theater is, I mean, I got to say it's a lot safer doing film and TV because you got a bunch of people supervising. Like, don't do that, and you're safer.
Goodness.
But yeah, stuff happens. I mean, if you're going for it, if you're committed, and that sort of thing. I mean, there are some people who aren't quite as adherent to safety as I am, especially when you're talking about swords or weapons on stage, that kind of thing. For the most part, people are very committed to safety, but there's some people that they get a little excited And so I think most of my interesting scars come from either I made a mistake and it's my own damn fault, or somebody got a little excited. So.
Well, before that's that's so crazy to think about. Like, you have a gun wound. Like, what the heck? That's, I didn't think it was that deep. Like, I get the sword injury. I mean, you guys are playing around, like playing with pool noodles. You know what I mean?
That can happen. I mean, it's, you know, it's live theater, and there's, you know, it's things can happen. And you know, I remember I worked with an actress in a play, and it was a really hot day one day, and she had on this like sundress, and she's like, "Oh God, I'm so hot." Pulled her skirt up to about her knees, and her legs, her shins were just scarred. And I'm like, "Now I know you're a theater actor." And she's like, "Well, oh yeah." And when I said, I was in the green room, you know, after I did that, and I said, "I think I tore my meniscus," and every actor in the room over the age of like 25 was like, "Oh yeah," and they're all pulling up their, you know, pants legs and showing scars. So yeah, theater can hurt you.
The closest thing I have to injury like that is I have, when I was little, I was riding a bike and I like scraped like the side of my calf on the like ground because I fell off the bike. That's as close as I got to that. But
just, you know, if you're doing theater, be careful. That's all.
Yeah, I have a ton of friends who are into the theater world and just love doing that. So before I get into the questions, I just want to say, people just saying, you know, thank you, Ray, for all that you've done.
Oh, I'm reading such great messages here. It's nice. Bonjour, Kevin Garnier.
Do you speak French? Do you know like a lot of it?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. I mean, I went to the very first time I ever went to Paris, a bunch of people came up speaking French to me. I guess I looked French to them or something, and the only phrase I know is "Pardon, je ne peux parler français." I'm sorry, I don't speak French. I had Americans coming up to me, like with travel maps, and like, pardon, où est la Louvre? You know, and I'm like, I can't help you.
Shoot. We're in the same boat, so. What's one childhood memory that you would say defines your childhood and also defines you?
Boy, that's a huge question.
Glad I'm not answering it.
Yeah, real nice of you, dude. Let me turn that back on you. I would have to say there's a few that certainly shaped me, and funnily enough, as I get older, I'll remember something from my childhood and view it in the perspective that I have now, and I find that it shapes me. You know, it's constantly learning. You know, I read something recently that I really loved, which was, if you don't look back on when you were younger and cringe a little bit, you haven't grown as a person. You know, because I used to always think about that. Like, I'd remember something and just be like, oh God, you know. And it was comforting to read that. It's like, no, I've grown past that. That's why it's so cringy. No, there's quite a few. I mean, I grew up in a small town in Indiana, and there's great stuff that comes from that. Midwestern people, by and large, particularly small town Midwest. I mean, there's some pretty special things about people from there, and I'm very grateful for where I grew up. And it was, you know, I spent pretty much my whole childhood like looking at the tree line, you know, past the cornfield, going, you know, what's out there in the world. You know, I can't wait to go away. So it's yeah, a lot of things I value from childhood, and a lot of things I'm glad are left back there too. Like, just like anybody. Hello, India.
Because, you know, I've done a lot of stupid and dumb and just said a lot of dumb and weird things.
But this is the thing. When you do that and you look back on it, you're like, oh God, why did I say that? You've grown. And it's a great sign that you've grown. So
yeah, just watching your growth as a person and just like reflecting on past things, I just find brings me so much comfort, because it's like I've really put in the work, and like we always want to improve ourselves. We always have things that we're like, oh, I hate this about myself, or, you know, I always think we should like look at ourselves and be like, you know, we are a work in progress. We are a beautiful art piece that
Mm-hmm.
we
I
go
agree.
through changes day in and day out.
I
Things
agree.
happen around the world, and I just really do believe we need to stop being so hard on ourselves, because I
That's
struggle with that
important.
too.
It's also important to hydrate, which is what I'm doing. I read a thing, I think it was a rabbi who said it, that the secret to happiness is not having everything you want, it's wanting everything you have. And that's a pretty good, I try to live by that.
Yeah, I try to too. I mean, sometimes, you know, you look at things on social media or you see things,
Hey,
and
UK.
it's like, ugh, I want this. But it's very important to remember to be content, because, you know, there's a lot of things that you have that some person might want, you know? So it's
Exactly.
really important to just
Hello,
be.
Russia. Добрый день. Я не понимаю по-русски.
You speak Russian? Come on.
No, what I just said is I don't speak Russian.
Oh.
I know how to say I don't speak in a lot of different languages. So
Shoot, no more than me. I took Spanish for a little bit, and I can't remember half of the things that I was talking.
you know, I live in LA, so I understand it when I hear it, but it's really hard for me to speak it, if that makes sense. Like, people will be conversing in Spanish and I understand it. I just can't answer them back.
Got you. Makes complete sense. Of course, you've done a ton of acting. You know, you've been in a ton of shows and movies. Of course, the Zack Snyder Cut, which we're going to get into. But in what part of your life did you realize acting was right for you?
Well, it was always sort of the family business. I'm third generation in this business. I grew up around it. You know, I grew up around show business people and the language and the vernacular and the attitude and all of that. And it was always just kind of a part of my life. And I was never going to, I was never going to really do it. You know, I was going to like find my own way. And then I went and I saw this play, and there's something about that production. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to do this. So I went to college and I starved and put myself through school and then hit the street. Got picked up by the Oregon Shakespeare Festival and was there for a really long time because it was a beautiful place to live, and they kept coming up with interesting things for me to do. And then I made some life choices, came back to LA, and I'm here now. And, you know, yesterday I went and bought a pop Funko of Darkseid, which was just wild. But
that is so, I mean, I was going to ask this later, but I know it must be extreme. I don't know how to describe what you must be feeling to see like a character you've done get so much love and like appreciation from like around the world. Like,
it's so humbling, and I'm so grateful. From the very beginning with all of this, you know, I mean, obviously I was in the movie and then I wasn't. And it came out. I didn't go see the original 2017 release just because.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, I hear that, but you know, for me personally, it was just kind of like, and then, you know, rumors started to swirl that Darkseid was in Zack Snyder's film, but who was it? And I was reading articles online saying, you know, it's Benedict Cumberbatch, it's so and so, it's this person, and I'm like, can't say anything. That was fascinating. And then one morning I woke up and I randomly checked Twitter, and I had a few Twitter followers because I do audiobooks, and people are usually very nice about, you know, the audiobooks that they've listened to. And so I randomly checked Twitter and like had 3 times the amount of followers that I had the night before, and a bunch of messages in my inbox. We hear you played Darkseid. And I panicked, and I immediately emailed Warner Brothers and I emailed DC. And I was like, I never said a word. And they were like, it's cool. We know. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay. But I didn't feel like I could say anything, because at that point we didn't know if the movie was going to be released, you know? And so we're talking a period of months basically where I'm welcomed into this community. I'm shown all of this love and kindness from people I'd never met, and just sort of included and brought in. And it was really sort of overwhelming. And then I began to see the power that fandom has and wielded, especially for a good cause like suicide prevention and all of that, is really encouraging. And finally, when Zack announced that it was going to be shown on HBO Max, I immediately texted him after and said, "Hey man, congratulations. I'm thrilled for you. Can I come out of the closet as Darkseid now?" And he was like, "Yes." So I announced, and it's been great from then on. But honestly, so much kindness, and I feel, like I said, humbled is a really good word, because I'm an actor. I did this part, but it means something to people. It means a lot to people, and there are people far more educated than I in the lore of DC Comics, and I'm kind of glad I didn't understand the weight of the role that I was playing when I was playing it. That I was able to literally just look at the script and play the ball where it lies, as opposed to, oh my God, I'm playing Darkseid and all these people need to, and Michael Ironside was so amazing and this guy was so amazing, rather than doing all that, I was able to, I'm sorry, I got distracted. I'm reading lots of questions and really nice things being said. Thank you all. It's really cool. But you don't want to do that. I mean, I experienced that with Shakespeare too. You're playing a role that's 400 or 500 years old. There's been a million guys who've played that role, but you have to kind of find your own way. If you go down the path, that's really well trodden, well, people are kind of seeing a museum piece or a recreation of something, and it's not as fulfilling. But if you read the script the way you read the script and do it that way, I think you're going to find more success. So, I've had people ask me, like, were you thinking about, Uxas when he was, in this situation and this situation? And I'm like, I don't. No, I wasn't. I was literally just playing what's in the script. And fortunately, you have a script from Chris Terrio, and Zack Snyder is directing, and you can lie back. You can trust that team. They'll hold you up, and so it was a great experience for that.
And man, you truly deserve it. Like, you really.
Thank you.
Like, Jesus, I was so taken aback by what you did with this character. I was like, holy, like, that was.
Wow, that's really pleasing. And I've been especially affected by people saying, I always wondered what he would sound like or what he'd be like live action, and you delivered and all of that. And that's a huge honor to hear that sort of thing.
I was extremely nervous because I remember when you announced to the world that, hey, I'm Darkseid, not do. That's me. I was like, who? No disrespect to you, but I was like,
who the hell is Ray Porter?
Yeah, I know. No disrespect. I just didn't.
No, please, are you kidding me? No, I don't take it as disrespectful. Who the hell am I? But the cool thing is that anybody who ever asked that, like you, asked it with a smile. There was only one time I read something on Reddit where people were like, who's this nobody? Who's it? And that was kind of demoralizing, and I went and hid under a blanket for a while. But for the most part, people are like, oh, who's this person? And learning a little bit, and it's funny now because if anything else I've done pops up on TV or whatever, somebody will post it on Twitter. Oh my God, he's on Frasier. Oh my God, he's on,
Sons of Anarchy.
It's super cool. Sons of Anarchy. That was a fun day. Hanging around motorcycles and shooting guns all day. It was excellent.
Mother loves that show.
It was good times. In the episode, I get hit in the face by the butt of a shotgun and knocked down on the ground, and all of the gang is there, and so we shot that scene. They said cut, and I stood up and was like, does this mean I can't be in your special motorcycle club? And Ron Perlman is like sitting on his bike holding a pistol. He's like, nah, Ray, I think you screwed the pooch on that one. So I was like, all right, cool.
You got to meet Ron Perlman?
Yeah, he was there. Yeah, that was such a chill set. They were such nice people. A lot of film actors, a lot of film people attached to that TV series. And it was very relaxed and very chill. Everybody was great. But that's been my experience mostly. Everybody's terrific,
That's good, man. and just seeing how humble and nice you are. Because funny story, because I remember you emailed me, and like you don't know the tone people have over like text or email, so I automatically read it in like this kind of like authoritative like voice, like you're like, and like not to be. I always do that though. Don't take that as like
I'm sitting with fire behind me, going, I got your email. Yeah, no.
Yes, and I was just like, I hope I'm not bothering him. I hope like everything's okay.
No,
and I always do that.
Nah.
Yeah, I always do that whenever an email comes through. I'm just like, oh God, I think I'm bothering you. Let me pull back. I'll tease a little bit. Let me pull, and I just worry about that a lot. So like,
the thing is, for the most part, I think if you're respectful, obviously, which I don't care who you are, be respectful. By and large, people are pretty cool. People are pretty chill. So,
that's something I have to get out of my own head about. But that's just how I read the email.
One of those things to learn.
I said earlier that you're an audiobook legend, and that is not a lie. You have narrated over 400 plus titles on audiobook.
400 plus. I've lost count. It's somewhere between 4 and 5. I think it's edging closer to 5 now.
Look, do y'all guys hear that? Like, almost 500 titles. This guy has done so much. I mean, it was to the point where Audible put in their bio, what was it, Ray Porter's
I
fan?
saw that. that was when Project Hail Mary came out. I was kind of blown away by that. I took a screenshot of it. Oh, hold on a minute. For young actors, do you recommend theater? Yes, I do. 100%. 100% I recommend theater for young actors. Because there's older actors there. And if you're respectful, they'll help you. So, but I think everybody should do a play for sure.
I need to get into it.
Yeah. Sorry, I just saw that and I wanted to answer it.
Oh no, yeah. This is a complete interactive thing that I'm really glad that you get to see it and stuff like that and interact.
Yeah. No, it's wonderful seeing all these comments. It's really cool. Wish I could answer everybody. How was it like directed by Zack Snyder? It was wonderful. It was amazing. He's a great director and a really terrific person.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
And he's really been through the ringer on a lot of situations, and he's stayed so kind and so humble.
How he manages to keep not only his kindness but his fire, his creativity, his infectious enthusiasm, and his joy is exemplary. It's like when I grow up, I want to be like Zack Snyder.
And I have a ton of respect for him. I mean, you see him do interviews with people who don't really have that many followers. Like you don't really hear that from big name directors or people just being so interactive, and it's just so cool.
It's about the love of it. It's about the joy. It's about the enthusiasm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mitos de Gotham.
So being a part of that exciting audiobook world, what is the most exciting and joyful part about doing audiobooks?
Doing audiobooks is really unusual. Being an actor is a largely collaborative experience. You're in a cast or you have a director or whatever. When you're narrating an audiobook, typically you're on your own. And in my case, because we're in my recording booth right now, I'm in here on my own without a director quite often, and just going, and doing. So I'm playing all of the characters in the scene, and it weirdly, it can get kind of lonely sometimes. I do wish that, I was collaborating or working with people. Probably the best thing for me about doing audiobooks is when I hear from people that, I introduce them to a book that maybe they never would have read before, or they really liked my interpretation of this text, or and honestly, I love hearing that I help people get through their day. I had some guy write to me I'm on the road 10 hours a day, or 8 hours a day in a truck, and listening to your audiobooks has really helped. That means something to me, because that's actually doing something really tangible. I'm sitting in a blanket fort doing funny voices. So to hear that it actually has a tangible result on somebody's day, or That's marvelous. And I've gotten to read some great books. I've gotten to meet some terrific people. I'm a massively huge space geek. I always have been, ever since I was a little kid. Like other kids can name, the Cubs. And I could tell you every Mercury astronaut, every Gemini astronaut, every Apollo astronaut. I'm just massively into that. And the book I most recently narrated is a really, really great novel by Chris Hadfield, the astronaut. So I got to meet him and I got to talk to him. And I'm like fangirling so hard. It's very silly. I worked with Tom Hanks on a play, and he and I got to know each other because I had worked with his wife on a play previously. And the very first question when I first met him was about shooting Apollo 13. And so we started comparing notes on our mutual space geekery, and Tom is like everything you imagine Tom Hanks to be times 10 is what Tom Hanks is like. And we still are in contact with each other. But we're talking about space stuff, so it's like I can hang out with Tom Hanks, or I can hang out with, like, I played guitar with Peter Frampton and Almost Famous, I did all this other stuff, and it's like, yeah, that's cool. Believe me, that's super cool. You get me around an astronaut, I'm like, when you did that EVA, that was really cool. I'm like ridiculous. That's what I fangirl about.
I used to have a big love of space. I have like a ton of space books. I have a telescope over here that I still have not used, but I love this like space.
You got to get out with your telescope, man. I have one too. It's important.
Yeah. Who was I speaking to? His name was Roger Craig Smith, and he's also a big space guy. He's like a part of this community. He's just he talks a lot about protecting the air.
Well, he does terrific astrophotography and terrific nature photography as well. I know him, and because he happened to be recording something at a studio where I was recording, we started talking and shared a mutual love for space geekery. And he's such a talented guy.
Love Roger. I got to see.
Yeah, he is such a talented guy.
Batman and Ezio and stuff like that. It's just so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just very big on protecting the sky so we can see it. And we just like go outside in the nighttime and look up at the
sky. He's a member of an organization called the International Dark Sky Organization, which has been around for years, and they're still fighting. And basically their whole thing is it's inexpensive to change street lighting and exterior lighting so that the ground is lit up as it should be, but you're not pouring all that light up into the sky. And so we actually get to see stars at night. In urban areas, it can be very difficult trying to use a telescope because you've got all the glow so the International Dark Sky Organization is trying to institute, and there are actually some cities, I think in Europe, that have started to adapt these lights so that they're able to see stars at night, because it's good for everybody. So plug for the International Dark Sky Association.
I grew up in New York, so I know what it's like not being able to see the skies.
Right. Well, and it's the same in LA, where you're like, I think that's one part of the Big Dipper. I don't know. And then when I lived in Southern Oregon, I'm like, whoa, there's the Milky Way. I can see Andromeda with the naked eye. And honestly, it's healthy. It's healthy. If you can, do the drive, get the hell out into the countryside, get someplace where it's dark, and just spend some time looking up. You don't need a telescope. You don't need binoculars. Shut off your phone, sit on the hood of the car, and just look up.
Big on the shut off your phone part.
It's good for you. Oh, you met Gene Kranz? Dude. Trey Music Man, 50th anniversary of Apollo 11. He met Gene Kranz.
I tried to speak to Buzz Aldrin. I mean, that would be cool to speak to. Yeah. Buzz Aldrin.
No, I would be a puddle on the floor. I narrated a book about the Apollo 8 astronauts, and they're still around, the Apollo 8 astronauts. And I found out that Frank Borman listened to the audiobook that I narrated, which is telling his story, where I'm like doing his voice in the book, and all of this. And he said to the author, "You tell that reporter he did an outstanding job." And I'm squealing and jumping around. I don't know, like I'm a 14-year-old girl and Justin Bieber just came to the house. I'm just like freaking out. It was crazy. Okay, you never told me that story, dude. Your daughter got a phone call from Gene Kranz. We got to talk about that later.
I know Ray's over here fuming.
I'm like, how the hell?
But, you know, I've spoken to a ton of voice actors, and one voice actor I talked to, you know, they always are, they talk, Bob Bergen, I spoke to him, the voice of Tweety Bird, and Porky Pig was talking about how...
Hugely talented actor.
And he talked about how he refuses to do audiobooks. So I'm wondering, from someone who, like you, has done, like you said, over 500 titles, what is the worst part about doing audiobooks?
Well, let me put this in context. Tom is also a writer, and he wrote a collection of short stories, and so they asked him to narrate it because, I mean, Tom Hanks wrote the book. Let's have Tom Hanks narrate his book. And he said to me he's like, how many audiobooks have you done? And I was like, I don't know, over 400, something like that. And his eyes crossed. He was like, I tried to narrate mine, and after the first day, my brain was just mush. And I was like, yeah. It's people don't understand. They think, well, I like to read and I have a nice voice, I'll do audiobooks. Mentally, it is so taxing. If, let's say, you're doing a novel where it's multinational, so you've got accents to cover and you've got characters with specific voices that go away and then come back, or you're doing fantasy, or you're doing, you know, a sci-fi thing where you've got to do something that's not in a real discernible dialect, you know, and so you're keeping your mind on continuity, you're keeping your mind on making sense of the story, you're kind of half listening to yourself as you're reading it. There's so many different levels of thinking going on that by the end of the day, not only is your mouth and your jaw exhausted, your brain is just out your ears at that point. It's very, very deceptively hard work.
I was speaking to Vic Mignogna, who's like big into audiobooks, and he was talking about some, like, he's extremely busy with audiobooks, and I've heard people say audiobooks take a long time to do. You have to edit them yourselves. And it's like, what's the process to, like, get that started or get an audiobook done?
Well, you know, I mean, obviously it helps if the book has been written. It helps also if the book has been edited and or spell checked. I can't tell you how many times I'm shifting on the fly because I've gotten a really early copy, and there'll be some misprint that makes no grammatical sense, and you just sort of make the editorial choice to, like, help it make sense. In some cases, you're fortunate enough to speak with the author beforehand. In other cases, you're on your own, and you hope the author likes it. So you record it, and that can take, people will say, okay, so this 500-page book, how long does that take? It takes how long that book takes. Every book is an individual entity. It has its own life, it's got its own voice, and it's going to take as long as it takes. So there's no real hard and fast way to say, you know, as much as they try to quantify, you know, it's got 378 pages. How long will that take? Well, I can give kind of a ballpark, but I don't really know until I get into the book. Some books, you're flipping pages like, you know, there's a nice breeze coming off of it, and others, you know, you're on one page for a really long time. So it just depends. Anyway, you record it. Then somebody has to proof it. Somebody will sit and listen to it while they read along. These are the unsung heroes of that industry. They're trying to automate it. There's some company that has tried to, like, automate that, and it never works. So somebody listens to the book while they read it. They proof it. They mark out the mistakes. So you get a sheet of, you know, edits that you need to make of things you said wrong or whatever. Oh, real quick, Trey Music Man, I'd love to meet you too at a Comic-Con. I'd love to meet all of you guys at a Comic-Con. The best way for admins who run cons is to contact my agent. I'm currently with Illumina Productions. So yeah, so then the edits happen, and sometimes there'll be another session of but typically, it gets done and then, the book's out. Usually they try to release the audiobook when the actual physical book releases. And sometimes you will hear back from the author and they'll be like, I really like what you did. And that's always nice. Obviously, the book I did recently, Project Hail Mary, the Andy Weir title, has done really, really well. People seem to really like it, and I'm very happy about that. So it's great. I mean, it's certainly during the pandemic being able to work because I was working from home. That was a blessing, and I was very grateful. I know I'm a hell of a lot more fortunate than many people were. I actually had COVID. I had COVID, and I tried to narrate while I had COVID. That's not a wise idea. I don't recommend that.
Wait, can you smell and stuff though?
No, I lost smell. I lost taste. I was sick for 14 days. I got off easy, but it was spooky enough that I still get twitchy when I think about having had it. It was bad. It was not.
But is
like
your smelling stuff back now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. Christ, I hope so. Anyway,
Wait, how recent was it though?
It was in the winter.
Okay.
What was it like working with Jason Lee and Billy Crudup in Almost Famous? It was amazing. It was brilliant. Almost Famous was, if you watch the movie Almost Famous, there's a feeling when the band and everybody is together where everybody's laughing and smoking cigarettes and playing guitar. That's kind of just how it was all the time. We laughed and smoked cigarettes and played guitar. And sometimes they'd turn a camera on. It was marvelous. It was a great experience. But I had COVID. It was scary. There was a neurological aspect to it. Like I could feel it affecting my brain, which scared the absolute hell out of me. And when I got the all clear, when I was okay, I'm very hardcore. Wear a damn mask and get your shots. I got mine, and I don't have a lot of time for people who gather their science from YouTube or Facebook. I just, so if you disagree with me, that's cool. I don't want to hear, because I really don't care what you think. Get fucking vaccinated and wear a mask. End of.
Right.
Sorry to get political. Sorry to get, but just.
No, I mean, there's a whole
Delta
variant out right now. It's insane.
Well, that's the thing is, there's a lot of threads of culpability of why this is happening, I mean, and it's always going to be a part of our lives. Do you know what I mean? Like getting HIV tests when you get your blood tested, it's, when you get to a certain age, if you're sexually active at all, get an HIV test. It's just, this is always going to be a part of our society now. We have to accept that and get your damn vaccine, Obviously, this came on so fast and so hard. They were scrambling to get stuff together. Sure, there's questions. I understand that there's, all of that. But if you actually follow the science, the smart money's on wearing a friggin' mask, keeping social distancing up still, and getting your shots. When everything is fine, then maybe, but the more that the more I understand why people might be a little scared. I understand why people might not trust. That's, their own thing. But I'm not going to go so far as to say, if you don't want to get vaccinated, that's your right. Because it's my right to want to live. And people not getting vaccinated is risking my life. And children and the elderly. That's not okay. We're going to stop now and talk about fun things like movies and comic books, because I'm going to get off my soapbox now.
But I was going to switch over to talk about Sandman, which you just recently announced that you're in. Huge Sandman
the second
fan.
Yeah, I did the first one, and then the second one I recorded. Danny Elgari, 30, what's the most unknown role that people come and stop to you and talk about? When I was on Sweet Life of Zack and Cody with my friend Kim Rhodes.
Yeah, what? Hold on. That is my childhood. You were on that? I love that show. It's a childhood.
Let's see. I don't know if you saw this episode. I'm trying to imagine that I'm on a plane. Oh no, I'm getting airsick. When one of the kids runs away with his dad in the band on the road in the bus and everything, I'm the British guitarist in the band who's very silly.
That's so cool.
I played Derek, who was in the band.
That is so cool. Oh my God.
Yeah. And Kim Rhodes played the mom on that show and is one of my best and oldest friends. Not that she's old. I'm saying we've been friends for a very long time. She'll never be old. She's ageless. This wreckage, I don't know why I can tell you. I'm 24. Look at me. Anyway.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so I'm a huge Sandman fan, and I was wondering.
I was going to ask you, is that Dream behind you on the wall?
No, this is Linkin Park. I'm a huge Linkin Park fan.
No, the big one right behind you, directly behind you on your 6.
Oh,
Who is that?
That's Itachi from Naruto. It's anime.
Okay, because that totally looks like, I mean, in this camera or whatever, it looked like the illustration from the original Sandman. So, yeah.
Okay, no, yeah, that's Itachi from popular anime called.
Okay, yeah. I was going to ask you about that when I saw that background. I was like, hey.
Yeah, but no, I've read the comics. I know they're making a Netflix series. I know they're trying to push Sandman heavily. I know there's I think they're making an animated show or cartoon or something with Sandman. And
there may be. I don't know about that.
Yeah, but
yeah, I went over because I'm friends with Dirk Maggs who produced it, and I essentially invited myself. He was like, "Well, we're doing Sandman." I was like, "Great, I'll fly over," and so I flew to London. And I ended up playing like 14 roles in it, just different voices, all different characters and that sort of thing. And came back and did them. Did a couple of them and a couple of new ones for Sandman 2 that's coming out, the audio production. So, and I got to meet Neil Gaiman, which was amazing because I love his books.
Had to ask you, did you meet Neil?
Got to look the man in the eye and tell him how much I love Neverwhere. So, yeah. Have you read Neverwhere?
I've not. I'm gonna be honest.
Read Neverwhere. Get yourself a copy and read Neverwhere. You will love it.
I'm going to be honest with you, Ray, and I know you're going to be like, that's a bummer, but I read books, but I don't read books. Like, I
understand.
Yeah, I'm trying to get more into reading nowadays, but
I understand.
Yeah.
It's a habit like anything else. Back in the day, back in like the 1800s, the big concern was that our youth of today are spending all their time reading books. It was the thing they were worried about. Parents were freaked out by their kids reading. It's tough because we're so, educated to like read these chapters and do a report on it. You don't really grasp, unless you kind of get it from an early age, you don't really grasp the concept of reading for pleasure. So what I would recommend to you as far as reading, don't try to read. Don't be like, okay, I'm going to read now. Just sit down, open the damn thing, let your eyes go, relax, chill. If you get distracted, be distracted, look away, do whatever. Come back to it. Just float. Just float. Don't try to do anything. If you relax enough, if it's a good enough author like Neil Gaiman is, he'll grab you. He'll take you for the ride. And suddenly you're, 200 pages deep and you're like,
where'd the time go?
Shit, I'm reading. You know what I mean? I fully get it and I fully respect it. It's not how we're geared so much anymore.
Yeah.
So my thing is, just like going to sleep, don't try to go to sleep and you will fall asleep. Don't try to read. Soon you'll be reading. What is my most beloved Shakespeare play and a fun experience in the theater? I've had so many fun experiences in the theater and have the scars to prove it. And I love Shakespeare, pretty much every single one of the plays. There are one or two that I like better, maybe. Oh, Tan Jim Sammy. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Man, there's so many good books to read. I'd like to be in jail 2 and 3 myself. Like I said, Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere is a great read if you haven't read it. Neil Gaiman's The Ocean at the End of the Lane is a terrific read if you haven't read it. There's so many good books out there. It's really a question of finding your thing, you know, finding the book that talks to you. When you go to the bookstore and you kind of look at the first few pages of the book, and if you and the book are having a conversation, then buy the damn book and take it home.
Sandman is, of course, part of the DC universe, and of course, you played the menacing and terrifying Darkseid, Uxas,
Yes.
And like I said in the beginning, I remember when you announced the cast, and then I heard that voice, and I lost my mind.
I'm so glad.
Grabbed my head. I was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "This is who I want to be, Darkseid." Period. And now that you have we've officially seen you in the role, talk with the side and Steppenwolf and just step on his head at the end right there with the portal. I cannot see anyone else play him live action wise.
That's great.
Voice wise, of course, there's been tons of other characters, like people like you said, Michael Ironside, you said in the beginning.
Brilliant actors. Brilliant
Tony
actors
Todd, all. I mean, just so many people. Steve Bloom has done Darkseid, like so many talented individuals.
Jonathan Adams, an actor that I've worked with, who I know and respect and love. I played Puck to his Oberon in Midsummer Night's Dream. He did Darkseid. Yeah.
So cool. And there's been so many, but I really can't see anyone else do it besides you.
Thank you.
And I'm just really glad that I was very open-minded, because sometimes when it comes to me and characters, I'm extremely closed-minded. And I'm open to admit this. Like, when it comes to Optimus Prime, if it's not Peter Cullen, I don't like you. Period. Get away. I don't like you. And it's not
It's got to sound like Peter Cullen. Yeah, I know. I understand. There's a few people like that. Welker.
Frank Megatron, yes.
Frank Welker. Frank Welker, who I got to work with on an episode of Curious George. Because he was the voice of Curious George.
Yeah.
And I got to do an episode of Curious George with him. And that dude is like, I mean, that's like bringing your guitar out and Eddie Van Halen is sitting next to you, you know? I mean, that guy is like the deal. So, but I was very proud to join the number of people who've played this character before and to kind of, you know, it didn't hit me until very, very late in the game when someone went, you realize you're the first live action Darkseid. And I was like, whoa, I feel like Neil Armstrong or Buzz Aldrin right now. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and like I'm just really glad that you did what you did, and I love your voice as a character. But I really want to walk through the timeline of your casting as Darkseid, because I'm really interested behind this story. I mean, obviously, like, it's a great story to tell, you know, you not being in it and being mad and watching people saying this, that, and the third, rumors about the...
Yeah, I was never mad. I was mostly just sad about it, really, more than anything else. You know, I was never really like pissed off about it. It was just like, bummer. But, you know, I've been in Hollywood long enough that, bummer is pretty much a daily occurrence anyway. So you're like, that's really sad. I'm really bummed about this, but I'll get over it and move on because life is a lot bigger than, you know, this. But I was very happy when it did finally get to, you know, when it was going to be seen, for a number of reasons, not just personally. I mean, we got to see my friend Ray's work as it should be seen. We got to see Zack's creation as it should have been seen. And there was so much justice being done through it that I'm just proud to have been a part of it. As far as how I got the role, at the time, I was married to someone who was working on the technical side of the film, and we have a child, and so we all went over to England for the duration of the filming. They were shooting at Warner Brothers Leavesden. I believe Jason is there right now doing Aquaman, and I think Ezra's there doing the Flash movie in England. So we were there, you know, and I got to know a bunch of different people sort of on the crew and that kind of thing. And I knew Zack. I mean, I'd met him, but I was always so-and-so's husband, you know. And then he found out that I narrate audiobooks and all of that. And Zack prefers to hear the script rather than just read it, because it's a different experience when you hear something as opposed to, you know, reading it on your own, particularly when you're talking about lines of dialogue or a script. You actually want to hear it. And so he assembled a bunch of American expatriate actors living in London and sat down to do a table read. And I did all of the, I think, Niall, I think that's, and I could be completely wrong, but as far as I know, they're shooting in England, but I could be wrong. I'm often wrong. Anyway, and I did all of the, like, you know, fade in, fade out, that kind of thing. And then I did a bunch of different things. And there was one day, you know, and Zack, it's a very friendly sort of atmosphere and all of that stuff. But there was one day Zack tossed me the script and he said, "Hey, can you do, what, you know, what would this guy's voice sound like?" And I was like, oh, well, you know, and I did the line, and he's like, yeah, cool. I didn't think anything of it, and I went home. And it was a couple of weeks later, I was cast as Darkseid. Okay. So I flew to LA and I shot scenes, some stuff with Kieran Hines, who's a wonderful dude. Did the Uxas axe into the ground, you know, thing at the beginning. But I do think that Richard Citrone came in and did basically, if Darkseid moves and it looks really good, that's Richard Citrone. He did a lot of the mocap stuff, but I did do mocap. I just don't know how much ultimately ended up in the film. But that was mocap, so that was the black Lycra suit with the little glow balls on it. Then I did some just ADR, some line stuff. So I was on a microphone at the Warner Brothers audio studios in London. Warner Brothers in Burbank was listening in, and I recorded a lot of the noises and vocalizations from the fight sequence from the big battle. So it was a whole afternoon of just like, then Peter Guinness and Kieran Hines and I reconvened in LA to shoot all of the scenes where we're interacting with each other. We were wearing these rigs on our heads that had a little camera that shot just our faces so that they could animate according to our facial muscles and also obviously record our lines of dialogue. And then I think I did one more thing, I think. Yeah, just some more audio stuff. And then when it was going to come out, Zack had some additional lines that he wanted me to record, and I recorded them right here, sitting here. I held my iPhone up so they could use my face for animation. I said, "Do I need to shave this time?" He was like, "No." And so I did the, what did I do? I did, Steppenwolf. That, you know, that whole thing. Can it be that you have found it? I did that here. I redid, I've turned 100,000, that speech, the 100,000 Worlds to Dust speech. I did that here. And then it came out.
Wow. I want to play.
But you see how the voice gets really quiet there, right? And I can show you if I can do this. Let me pull my mic's on a stand. Okay, we're going to imagine, my microphone is right there, but we're going to imagine this is my mic. And basically, to really get the proper sound, I have to be right up on it. because you catch, proximity, you get all that bass and all that stuff. It's not like Darkseid would be hailing a taxi in New York.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I know. I can
Trying to order something at a bodega. It ain't going to happen. What? I can't hear you. What?
You said what, huh? What do you want in your sandwich?
What?
Yeah.
I will come for my great rye. So anyway, yeah. Relentless. Hey.
But yeah,
You
I'm
listen to
gonna
Relentless.
play a
Cool.
clip really quick from the Justice League.
Great.
How will you retrieve your great prize? Anti-life is found, Assad, and we will stop at nothing to possess it.
Ready the Armada.
Ready the Armada. We will use the old ways.
That scene gives me chills just playing it, and like knowing the line before it came, I'm freaking out right now. Like, holy crap, that is, I'm, oh gosh, that's amazing. And I really do. Did you do that scene? Like, were you next to Peter Guinness? And
yes.
Who plays Granny Goodness? Please tell me who plays Granny Goodness.
There was no Granny Goodness in the studio. That was a surprise for me too.
You serious? Wow. Okay.
I'm dead serious, man. No, that was later. Zach was like, "Oh man, I can't wait for you to see. I can't wait for you to see this sequence when you say we will use the old way, because you turn and you walk through this massive room and there's fire and all of these parademons and Granny Goodness is there." I was like, "Wait, what?" And he was like, "Yeah." So, yeah.
What? Okay.
No, she wasn't around for the filming. No.
I really can't believe that, because I was really trying to figure out who that is, and I know some people thought it was, to go back to your friend Kim Rose, they thought it was her for a little bit.
She would make a great Granny Goodness, I will say that.
Yeah.
She would make a great Granny Goodness.
And
yeah, people were saying her, people were saying, tons of other actresses, but no, she was not there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That goes to show just like the advancement of technology, like what we can do,
We also need to pause for a second and recognize the fact that these VFX artists did about 2 years of work in a month.
Yes. That's insane.
I mean, it blows my mind from the time that we knew that it was going to happen, from the time that I recorded my stuff. And I saw little snippets of things prior, and then obviously when the previews came out, and I'm looking at these previews, like, they had no time, none, and it's a pandemic, and they did it,
and it looks amazing. Like, Steppenwolf looks
wonderful,
cool, like it doesn't look fake. Darkseid looks awesome. The side kicks, like,
Darkseid came out looking really cool.
I hope they beef him up a little bit if they ever use him again. But that's my only thing. I just wish they'd give him more like arm muscle. You know what I mean? Sort of like a Thanos type of thing.
You want Darkseid bigger?
Yes.
Damn, dude, come on. He's got that shoulder injury.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, makes sense. Okay,
all I know is I look at that Darkseid and I look at me and I'm like, thank God for CGI.
CGI is amazing what it can do.
You want him to look like this.
Something like that. Something like that. Something.
Yeah,
like
I keep a Lego Darkseid in the booth. Whatever, dude.
Have you seen the McFarlane figure for Darkseid?
Haven't seen, but I mean, I've seen drawings. Obviously, I've seen art and all of that other stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. There's so many interesting directions that this could go. I mean, I know Ava definitely had some plans, and I don't know what happened there.
I think that got canceled.
That's way above my pay grade.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm sad about it, because after getting a taste of what this, they were very briefly loyal, and I know that a lot of people really wanted that to happen. But if you notice, they are very briefly. He's doing the Darkseid pose right in that when the boom tube first opens, and he's got his back to camera, and then he turns and comes and looks at the League. At the beginning of that shot, his hands are behind his back. So it's just a little glimpse of the Darkseid pose with the arms behind the back.
Oh, that's so nice.
Got to look, though.
Yeah.
It's quick.
all the little nods and Easter eggs that you catch, like even when it
Oh
comes
yeah.
out, and
The Queen Studios figure looks completely dope. I saw that and actually wrote, how do I get my hands on one of these? Of course I would voice Darkseid in an animated movie. Absolutely I would.
when when recording, of course, 2017, you were not in the movie and stuff. Did you record everything for Darkseid before you found out you were cut, or did they add more stuff
Yes.
for the Snyder cut?
No, I recorded everything, and then obviously it was coming out again, so I recorded some slightly rewritten lines from the last time, and I also recorded some entirely new lines. And I said to somebody, because I got the chance to go see the film in IMAX here in LA early on, right before the release, and visually, I will say this: visually, the difference between IMAX and seeing it on our televisions at home was not that great. The CGI is fantastic and works. It's scalable. The sound in the IMAX movie, I made sure to turn up the subwoofer for my stuff because I'm a dork. Anyway, I said to somebody afterwards, I was like, there's almost 5 years between those two sentences in that one line. He was like, really? And I said, yeah. When I say yes, you did, and then I say anti-life is found, Desaad, and we will stop at nothing to possess it. I recorded yes, you did with Peter years ago. Anti-life is found, Desaad, and we will stop at nothing. I just did last month. So, yeah. Having played Darkseid, how much respect do I have? I have so much respect, and I have so much respect for the story. I mean, talk about a vast, huge. I did an interview recently where I talked about there's great sort of harmony between people who appreciate, let's say, Shakespeare or those giants of literature and comic book fans, because you're looking at stories that are so intricate and are so huge and encompass so many different things, and there's so much intrigue and all of that. I'm really into comics. That was never like my big thing. I mean, I understood them and I respected them completely, but I was never a comic book fan like a lot of my friends are. Doing this and meeting the fans, wow, I have such an appreciation for it. I'm so in awe of that stuff. And when I heard from Jeremy Kirby, Jack Kirby's son, I see that. Am I a fan of Jack Kirby? Yes, I am. And when his son kind of, he wrote something on Twitter that just blew my mind. That's another thing I screenshotted and saved, which was, Darkseid's meant so much to our family for so many years. You did him proud. Thank you. It was like, it's like getting the benediction from the king,
That is, I remember he said something like that, and I couldn't imagine what was going through your head when you got that tweet. Like, did you cry? Were you like, what happened?
I got a little bit of okay, the 6-string affair. Let's talk about the irony of me playing a fan on Frasier. That episode on Frasier is Frasier and his brother Niles discover a Shakespearean actor that they really admired when they were young is signing autographs at a Comic Con. And I play a fan waiting in line to have him sign that. When I was signing autographs at a con, and I was like, wait, I'm a Shakespearean actor. I'm signing autographs at a con. Oh my God, I'm Derek Jacobi's character from Frasier. It was crazy. I know a lot more, Loyal, about Darkseid now than I did before, honestly. I'm not saying that would necessarily inform my performance. I would go with fresh eyes. If there were further Darkseid endeavors, I would go with fresh eyes and play it according to the needs and the demands of the script. But I know a lot more about the character now, thankfully, because like I said, there are people in the fandom that are way smarter than I am about that stuff.
Absolutely.
So,
since the release, everything is out. Zack Snyder's Justice League kind of has been a ton of news back and forth, rumors, this and that. There's fans have talked up and down. Have you and Zack discussed anything, or have you gave him any ideas like, hey, Zack, this would be cool, or have y'all discussed anything like that?
Zack knows that I would work with him under any circumstances at any time. I've made sure he knows that. I've said it publicly also. He's a person I really admire. And never mind the fact that I love, as an actor, working for a director like that is one of the best gifts anybody could ever receive. As a guy, he's a good guy. He's a good man, and I admire him. And I'd work with him under any circumstances, and he knows that. But I didn't feel, he's got some other irons in the fire right now. He's doing some other things right now, and yeah, I'd love to be involved in any way that I can be with any of that stuff. Should he choose to revisit something that has Darkseid in it, I'd sure hope he'd consider me for the part, and I'd sure be ready for it. But I've not received any kind of indication of anything further happening with Justice League. I haven't heard anything about it. Like I said, that's above my pay grade.
It's just really cool seeing all of the reactions to you, even post-release. I mean, like, what's it like seeing, like, it must be insane to see, like, the post-reaction, like, people tagging you, showing you more fan art and just all that.
I'll tell you what, the fan art, I'm blown away by. The fact that these people, some of that stuff is just like, wow. I've actually got some of it on my wall here. It was after 2 that I went, I better not hang any more Darkseids on the wall, because if anybody comes to visit me, they're going to think I'm weird. Hi, here's my resume. But I'm blown away by the art, by the amount of care that people are putting into it, the fact that they're so passionate. As I did say on Twitter a couple of days ago, the fandom, when they use their powers for good, is absolutely formidable. I'd like to see a whole lot less rehashing hurt feelings and old battles and fights and hostility. I'd like to see the women in the fandom be afforded the respect that anybody else in the fandom gets. That's what I wish was different, but it's not really my place to say or to dictate or to say anybody. I just wish it was so. But for the most part, 99.9% of everybody that I've encountered in the fandom, I mean, I'm honored, I'm humbled, I'm blown away, I'm so grateful. And I feel it's kind of my responsibility. I mean, if it wasn't for the fans, nobody'd know I was Darkseid. Maybe nobody would have even seen Darkseid. So these wonderful gifts are a direct result of the fans. And so I'm eternally grateful. And I do have a sense of responsibility to the fans because of that.
Can you hear me?
So, yes, I can.
Okay, I'm sorry. One of my friends called me. I don't know why he did that. He knows I'm... Anyways, I just want to make sure you can hear me.
There's always that one friend that calls like right in the, like they're not available all day, and then you're in the middle of surgery and they call. That's just how it is, man.
Yes, I'm sorry. I just really want to make sure you can hear me and that nothing was going wrong. But
no, it's all good. All good.
And Darkseid, someone asked, yes, Ray did motion capture and also did the voice for Darkseid, so he did both. And
I did a little bit, but again, there's a lot of people that did mocap for a lot of the different roles in there. I know Citrone and other actors also did, stuff, movements and fights and things like that for Steppenwolf, for Parademons, for, so it's kind of all over the place.
Since you now know more about the character of Darkseid,
yes, and
about the lore, and of course at the end we see ready the Armada, we will use the old ways, and he walks off and let that badass pose.
That's right.
His arms behind his back. What do you think would be cool to see from Darkseid, or do you have any theories of your own about the character?
Obviously, I would like to see, the things that Zack shared in the storyboards of what might have been. I'd like to see that movie. I'd like to see that JL2, you know. I mean, never mind that I have a kind of a personal stake in it. I'd just like to see the story. Darkseid is such a vast, huge, intricate, long-standing character that I don't know that even one movie could possibly capture it. I mean, you've got, like, what was the story that Ava was going to tell? There's Darkseid's been a lot of different things, and I mean, we got to remember that Darkseid is actually this like God entity, and the shape that he assumes is just the shape he assumes. So, there's that whole aspect of it. I mean, it's vast. But I'd be happy to start with with what Zack had planned for JL2. That'd be an amazing thing to see and to learn about. And
it's really disheartening when I hear Warner Brothers just be so ignorant, and also just like their controversies are just goodness. But
well, I'm obviously not gonna say anything against them because it would be ill-informed of me to do that. I don't know all of the ins and outs. Again, way above my pay grade. Yes, I've been confused by some of their decisions, certainly.
Yeah.
Obviously, I wish some of their decisions, I mean, I wish their choices back in 2016, 2017 were a little bit different, but it all turned out okay in the end. And I can't claim to know the whys and wherefores of all that stuff. I do know that only based on what I'm seeing, which is what every other fan is seeing, I don't have inside knowledge or an inside track on it, but I get to see a film like Army of the Dead, and I get to see Zack being given free reign, which he should have.
Don't forget Rebel Moon that's coming out. That sounds crazy.
Oh, dude. Anyway.
Yeah, it sounds crazy. That would be insane.
That would be insane. I can't wait to see what he's going to continue bringing. How did my cameo as the Amazonian blacksmith happen? I was around and I sort of looked the part. So he put me in there. And then after I was done shooting that sequence, he was like, hey, come here. They just finished building this set. And he walked me. He did no real reason. He just wanted me to see how cool it was. And it was the crypt that Diana goes into with the torch when she first learns about the lore and then sees that carving of Darkseid on the wall. I got to see that. I could still smell the paint. That was cool as hell. So, yeah.
I would have loved to have seen New Gods just because, of just the surrounding all of them. I would have loved to have seen Mr. Miracle and all those, that cast, Big Barda, the Female Furies. We would have seen more. That really makes me upset that it, but I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Like, you and me, we both don't know what happened there, or maybe she couldn't do it.
Right. And maybe, who's to say, maybe in some form or another that will take place someday. I mean, obviously I'd love it if it did. Aside from everything else and aside from being in it, I loved the movie. I just loved the movie. Yes. That shot when they're all in flight going into battle. Come on. There's so many things about that film that I'm like, oh God. And, and when I watched it, I was like, there were a lot of times where I forgot, oh yes, I'm in this, It was just like, oh my God, this is so cool. This is oh, look, that's me. But it's just such a damn good movie.
I'm blown away by that movie. Thinking about it now, it's just amazing. I can't wait to buy the Blu-ray when it comes out.
I'm looking for. I'll be doing that as well.
Yeah, and I'll be doing that as excited. And I really do hope Warner Brothers decides to bring you back in some form, maybe in an animated movie. They're like, this Ray guy, he really did.
Well, yeah, I'd love that. I would love that, and I absolutely I would be grateful for the gig, and I'm down for that completely. More than anything else, I would just love for those stories to be told. Obviously, they have really hit a nerve with people. Someone in the UK told me recently that, it's still like #1 on Sky. I think it's still like, yeah, it's still huge. Like Europe, the UK, it's done so well internationally and domestically. Obviously, it matters. People are buying the toys right, left, and center. I mean, the McFarlane Armored's sold out in 2 hours. Yeah, I mean, I was like, I started seeing tweets of Darkseid on the Throne, the Funko, and I only do this because my friend Jonathan Hogan in Ashland was like, dude, buy all of them, get all of them, for later, when I'm in my dotage, I can be like, that was me. Yes, all right, let's go get you some more juice.
Like that.
Yeah, he was Darkseid. Okay.
All right, yeah. Let's put him
up his meds.
Yeah, let's put him to bed. Let's let him get some
Yes,
rest.
yeah. Bring the car battery and the jump leads. We're gonna put him to sleep now. So I shudder to think that's where I'm gonna end up. Anyhow, it's some weird, strange, like American Horror Story, old folks home. So there you go. Yeah, it's #1 in Germany. I'm seeing that from Loyal. Yeah, and it's so it matters, and obviously it matters enough. Like I said, the toys are selling still, and all of that stuff. People are interested. People are keen on this story and the way that it was told by Zack, and so obviously, I think it would be good in general if it were allowed to go forth.
Favorite Darkseid voice?
Favorite Darkseid voice?
Mm-hmm.
My favorite Darkseid voice? Present company accepted. The thing is, going back, and it was only very late in the game when I went back and I looked at all of the voices of Darkseid. Somebody on YouTube compiled them all. And I got to see just how different and just how diverse each performance was. And, actors I really, really admire, Andre Braugher, Michael Ironsides, Jonathan Adams, all of these different people did really interesting things and really interesting choices. I think mine is so different is because I didn't listen to any of those voices before. So there was never this thought of like, well, I should sound like this. I just read the script and went, well, to me, he sounds like this, and I guess Zack agreed, thankfully. And here we are, So if I could voice any other DC character, who would I choose? It's a good question. Really good question. I mean, I could answer it with a question and say, what would you like me to voice? But boy, I don't know.
I could see you personally. I know this is your question, but I could see you as like a Mongol type character, like an Etrigan. I could definitely see you as Etrigan.
Oh yeah, Etrigan. I'd love to have a go at that, for sure. Yeah, definitely. But I'd also like to have a go at some more prosaic. Like I'd love to have a go at Alfred, frankly. I'd love to, you know what I mean? Tony Todd was amazing. Absolutely right. I could voice the darkest Batman ever. Yeah. For sure. Do I have a favorite Marvel character? There's a lot of Marvel characters I absolutely love.
Please say Daredevil.
Somehow I'm psychically getting Daredevil as a favorite. No, I do like Daredevil quite a lot.
Best Netflix show, period. I love that show.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different, characters. I have since the movie has come out, yes, I've had a go at the comics and the New God comics. And I got to say, it's a little weird reading the comics now because I want to do the lines. I want to say, so it's very strange. It's like I'm not reading a script. I'm just reading this thing. Commissioner Gordon, I'd love to do. I'd love to do that. Yes, I saw the Darkseid figure by Prime One Studio. Good God. It's
That's
incredible.
What your wallet is saying when you buy it.
Yeah, well, I ain't going to buy that because I can't afford it. Did you guys see the Weta Workshop one? Damn. Have you seen the Weta Workshop Darkseid?
Those I've not, but I've seen like a ton of these like statues that are like, ah.
It's incredible. It's incredible. You know, I mean, I was never, it's never been a thing. It's never been really in my sort of orbit to be walking into a GameStop asking if they've got a Funko Pop of Darkseid, but I sure as hell did yesterday. And the funny thing is like, I mean, I wasn't like trying to like, hey, it's me. But I had called and the guy was like, yeah, we have it. And I was like, no way. I was really stoked. And I got there, I said, I'm sorry for getting shouty on the phone. It's just, I'd love to play Galactus. But I was, I said to the guy at the counter, and he was really hot and he was really busy. But I said, I'm sorry, I got really excited on the phone. I'm really stoked. I played Darkseid in the movie. And he was like, oh, $20, or however much it was. He couldn't be arsed. He couldn't care less.
What?
And I loved
sorry.
I loved that. No, I loved that. That was like the best thing ever. That made me really happy.
Why? Don't you want to be like, yeah?
No, it was hot as hell. He had a long line of people. He ain't going to get all excited. I have not. I'm going to have to go look. Is that on Twitter, Gabriel? David Ayer's recent statement? I'll have a look. Venom would be interesting. Venom would be a really interesting character to voice. But see, that's what I'm talking about. When you're talking about Marvel, you're talking about DC, you're talking about generally really interesting characters. And especially now that, things have kind of changed a little bit. Comics have shifted in the last, since like the 80s. I'm old enough to remember back in the, hey kids, remember, don't do drugs kind of thing. And, you have these incredibly complex, nuanced characters now that it makes all these characters really, really interesting for an actor to do. And so, yeah, there's tons of roles. I'd love to play in that. Yeah, I'd love to do Jack Carr's Terminal List TV series. I think I might be a little too old.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm sorry. You probably saw me looking down. I was looking at my phone. He just said, basically, he said that, like, dang, he just, like, said everything. He just, basically, the root of it was, like, I don't really want to talk about the Suicide Squad movie anymore because, there's, like, a push for the director's cut. He was just, like, I've been through a lot, and it's just, like, I'm glad that I'm so proud of, he says, I'm so proud of James and excited for success that's coming. I support Warner Brothers. I just will no longer speak publicly about my vision of what I wanted. So it's long. Like it's like I'm looking at it right now.
I'm gonna look at it
it's
later.
Like
Good Lord.
This long.
Yeah, I will look at it.
Yeah,
I will look at it.
So
Pasha, thank you so much for letting me know I have fans in Iran, and I would first of all, I have so many reasons why I would love to see your country. I wish that it were easier for me with a U.S. passport to go to visit Iran because the history, the culture. So if I can ever make it happen, I would be honored to meet my fans in Iran. Absolutely.
Now we're going to get into the fun part of my interviews that I love to do with all of my guests. It's called Weird and Wacky. We have 1 minute to answer a series of random and weird questions.
I'll answer them as quick as I can.
No one has gotten to a record of 15 questions, although my good friend Simon Norfleet has answered a record of 14 questions. Do you think you'd be Simon?
I don't know. I'll give it a go.
All right, I'm about to start the timer in.
How much time do I have again?
1 minute.
Okay.
All right, we're going to start the timer in 3, 2, 1. Longest time period without taking a shower.
5 days.
Favorite drink.
Diet Coke.
Least favorite movie growing up.
Disney's Cinderella.
Would you rather get mauled by a bear or bitten by a rabid squirrel?
Bitten by a rabid squirrel.
Favorite band growing up.
Led Zeppelin.
Dumbest thing you did as a kid.
Fell on my face riding a skateboard and broke my front tooth in half.
Character you wish you were voicing.
Batman.
Movie franchise you wish you were a part of.
DC.
Are you a gamer?
Universe? Yes.
How tall are you?
6 feet.
Least favorite dessert.
Flan.
Favorite brand of lollipop.
The ones with the caramel in the middle.
And time. All right, Ray, you got a record of 12 questions, but don't be defeated. You've gotten better than the average, so good for you.
Some of those were lies. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I was like, what? I mean,
those are damned interesting questions.
But yeah, that now.
And also, I saw that from Iraq as well. And again, a place I would love to visit. Much respect and much love to the people of Iraq. I would love to be able to come and visit someday.
I don't know if Ray likes Metallica, but I love Metallica. I'm seeing them.
I love me some Metallica. Are you kidding me? Please.
What's your favorite Metallica album?
I have to say the Black Album. I mean, Sad But True is probably one of my most favorite songs. Master of Puppets makes me very, very happy to be alive. You know, but I mean, I love Metallica. I mean, Rammstein is probably the closest band to my heart currently.
Okay.
I love Rammstein.
Okay.
Love Rammstein. Ride the Lightning. Favorite Led Zeppelin song? Dude, that's a hard one to pick because there's a million, and I have good reasons for them being my favorites, and then there's another that's my favorite. I mean, it's, you know, I love Pink Floyd. Love Pink Floyd. Rammstein, Greetings from Germany. You know, a real quick story. My son, my little boy, when he was 2 or 3, I would drive him to preschool and we would listen to Three Little Birds. And because it's a very peaceful, lovely, you know, song, right? And the night before, I was in the car and I had Rammstein just blazing. And I had forgotten. And I got home and shut the car off between songs. So we get in the car and we're driving. It's sunrise, you know, and I'm going to put on Bob Marley, Three Little Birds. Daddy, let me hear some music. I turn on the music and it starts into Mein Teil. And I'm diving for the radio and this little voice in the backseat goes, I like this. And I'm like, well, that's my boy. So in preschool, he could count to 10 in German because he learned it from the song Sonne.
Wow.
By Rammstein. You know the song Eins, Zwei.
Yo, that's so cool.
Yeah.
But now I got my final question for you, Ray. And just before I ask you, I was just like I said, it's been one of the funnest interviews I've done. It's just been really awesome to get to.
It's been a treat. Thanks, man.
And just really learn about what you love, and it's just really awesome. So thank you so much again for coming on. And
thank you for having me.
What is your current message to the world during these current times that we live in? Obviously, we're living in a global pandemic. Laws are being changed. Things are happening around the world. People are in need of hope and just need a little boost in their mood. What would you say to people around the world?
First, I would say, learn what is your business and what is not somebody else's, not your business. Okay? Simone Biles, that's her business. It ain't your business to comment on it. Somebody's choice of who they want to go into bed with, or who they want to pray to, or that's their business. Kindness and manners. We need more now than we've possibly ever in human history needed it. You know, we've been locked down for over 1.5 years. People don't know how to act right. If everybody leads with a little bit of respect, it doesn't matter if the person's real different from you, diametrically opposed from you. If you lead with a little bit of respect, observe simple manners, and put kindness above everything else, I think a lot of this stuff is going to get a lot better. Don't forget your manners.
Heavy on that, because some of y'all need to get slapped. But you know, yeah, that was great. And to go to. It's just been really crazy just seeing people's response to Simone and what she said. Like some of them calling her a shame to this country, and like, dude, what's wrong? Like, get a life. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, leave her be. And it's just really disheartening to see.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Did you invent 3 incredibly hard moves that are named after you? No? Then shut up. You know what I mean? I mean, aside from the fact that her greatness as an athlete is to be respected, the message she is sending to little girls, not only in this country, but all over the world, that want to be gymnasts, I think is ultimately better. And if you're the parent of a little girl who's into gymnastics, you've got to be wholeheartedly in support of what Simone Biles has done and what she has said. Do you want that? Or do you want a child who believes they have to go until they break their neck? Because that's what happens at that level of gymnastics. There was a Russian who, 16 years old and quadriplegic and died at the age of 46 because she was just going to push. It's dangerous. Do you want your child to think that they got to work until they break themselves? Or do you want your child to be self-aware enough to speak his or her truth at the right time? I know what I choose as a parent.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining. Ray, is there anything you want to plug before we head off?
I am going to be in Harlingen, Texas at their Comic-Con in November. That's another thing. If you guys live in some place, would love to have me come visit you at a con, contact the con organizers. They'll know what to do. They'll know how to get in touch with the people who represent me to bring me. If you really want me, say the word. Absolutely. I want to thank everybody for the comments. I really tried to speak. I mean, they were flying by, and I was trying to read as many as I could. If I didn't get to your question, I'm sorry. But so much respect to you, so much gratitude to you. And everybody just, be well, man. Just be decent to each other. Be kind. And we'll get through all of this crazy. Much love to all of you guys.
Love you guys. Thank you so much for joining. Ray, it was great. And I hope to see you guys on the next interview. Peace. And don't forget to follow both of us. See you guys.
Bye.